Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you a Solgaleo promo and a Lunala promo, which were given out in tournaments in Japan, have not been released over here, and might never be released over here. I'm calling them the forgotten promos. I haven't done videos about them, and because it's been a little while, I figured let's chuck them both into one video so you can enjoy all the goodness right now without having to wait for a second video. As with a lot of the videos I've been looking at lately, Limitless TCG, the lovely David Hochmann himself, they have been bringing the translations. Shout out to those lovely people. So we will start with Solgaleo, because I like Solgaleo more. Being a metal Pokemon is really great at the moment. You've got cards like Mount Coronet, which are really good for getting your metal energy back into your hand. By the time this comes out, if it does, we're going to have Metal Frying Pan, a great card which will allow you to have no weakness and reduce damage done to you by 30. And of course, we've got the new Solgaleo GX, which is spectacular, and you've got down Mise, which allows you to do a bit of extra damage. And this all goes to say, being a metal type is really good, not to mention the fact you are hitting Gardevoir GX for weakness. Now, you are weak to fire, which is a little bit of a pain because Volcanian's big, and if metal does get big like we imagine, we'll probably see more fire decks coming all the time. Retreat cost of 3 is very high, but you've got Heavy Ball, and resistance to Psychic is really great because Garbodor will not go away, partly because it's still topping tournaments, and partly because I genuinely believe it will never go away because it's too good, so that's always handy. Oh yeah, and it's got 160 HP, which is really quite hefty, but then again, it's a stage 2 Pokemon, so it kinda has to. The other Solgaleo did. So Solgaleo has got an ability here. Is it actually any good? Well, if this Pokemon has any metal energy attached, it has no weakness. This is really kind of cool, because the new Solgaleo GX has an ability saying that all your Pokemon in play have no weakness. Metal Frying Pan is a tool which says that when it's attached to a metal Pokemon, that Pokemon has no weakness, and this Solgaleo also has an ability saying that this Pokemon has no weakness. Yeah, that's actually pretty gosh darn good. And when the rotation hits, it's only going to be Garbodor that can turn off this ability, which means this ability is likely to stay around, which means that weakness I mentioned earlier, do not worry your pretty little heads about it. It's fine, it's gone, it's nothing you need to worry about. Okay, that's pretty nice. It is awesome to have no weakness. We've seen this with the Alolan Guardian GXs like Tapu Bulu. It's so good to never have to worry about that weakness, to know that there's no Pokemon that's going to be dropped out of nowhere and get an easy one-hit KO. But it's a stage 2, and even though you can play 4 Solgaleo and 4 Solgaleo GX in your deck, you can only play 4 Cosmog in your deck, and you can only play 4 Cosmoem in your deck. And that means that you're still going to have to be choosing what to evolve into. So it's got to have a good attack, otherwise we're just going to evolve it into a different Solgaleo. Metal, colorless, 130 damage, not affected by resistance, but apparently is affected by weakness. Now this is actually really quite nice at the moment, because we got a whole bunch of Pokemon running around that do have a resistance to metal. Think of something like the promo Tapu Koko. Now to be fair, you're getting a one-hit KO even if it did have resistance, but the point is that most lightning Pokemon have a resistance to metal. It's nice to be hitting through it. 130 is your general 2-hit KO if they're not weak, 1-hit KO if they are. So something like a Gardevoir or a Glaceon GX go down in 1 hit. But hitting 130 is huge. Baby Volcanion, Haynick, Greninja, things of that nature will be going down in 1 hit. A lot of stuff like Zoroark only hits 120. There's a bunch of Pokemon with 130 that will survive a hit from that, but not from this Solgaleo. That actually gives it a big advantage. Now the attack cost is quite high and you can't use double colorless energy, which kind of sucks. But then again, Magnezone will be able to get this going very, very quickly because the ability says you can attach as many metal energy as you like during your turn. Not to mention that the new Solgaleo GX does 120 for a double colorless energy and attaches 2 basic energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. There's options for metal Pokemon here to get this energy, so actually I like this. I do think this is a good card. I think the biggest issue is going to be, are you playing it over the Guardians Rising Solgaleo, which is a pretty good card in its own right. It can do 170 for the same attack cost and get a one-hit KO on something like a Tapu Lele. Are you going to be able to evolve into this Solgaleo when you're trying to get your Solgaleo GX out? I like the ability, the attack is really cool, but I think we might have better options in terms of Solgaleo cards. I'm giving it 3 Wassies because I think sooner or later somebody is going to tech this into a Solgaleo deck, which means you need a copy or 2 in your binder, which makes it a 3 Wassie card. So how about that Lunala, eh? Well, Lunala, and we've seen this time and time again, Solgaleo and Lunala, they come as a pair. And like Solgaleo, it's got 160 HP, which is fairly standard for Stage 2s in the Sun and Moon era. It's got a retreat cost of 2, worst in the game. It's got a weakness to darkness, which given that Zoroark GX is literally everywhere, is horrible, but it has resistance to fighting, and with Zoroark everywhere, that means that fighting Pokemon, think Buzzwole, are also everywhere, so you know what? Could be worse. It's always nice when Jet Punch does 10 damage and 30 to the bench. And being a psychic Pokemon, you will hit weakness against Buzzwole, along with stuff like Espeon GX. So the basics here are looking pretty good, like they were with Solgaleo. The question is it any good? Well, the ability is not really as good as Solgaleo's, although like I've said, Solgaleo's is kind of redundant, given how many different things can be used to get rid of weakness. As long as you've got psychic energy attached, so in that way it's very much parallel to Solgaleo's, you take 20 less damage from attacks. This is nice. This is basically a Hard Charm. And Hard Charm saw a lot of play. Hard Charm was a really good card that people played to give themselves a little bit of extra bulk. It gives you an effective HP of 180, but then again, if somebody does 90 to you, they won't 2-hit KO because 90 gets reduced to 70, and then 90 gets reduced to 70, and they only actually do 140 in total. And just like Solgaleo, being an evolved non-GX Pokemon means that when the rotation hits, and we lose Garbodor to the rotation, we're actually not seeing anything that turns off this ability. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty gosh darned spectacular. But having a good ability isn't good enough. Does it have a good attack? And the answer is, kind of. 3 psychic energy, 80 damage, plus 20 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And yes, that means that counter energy will count double if your opponent is behind on prizes, but only single if they're not. Double colorless energy will count double, and super boost energy Prism Star will count as 4 energy, as long as it is attached to a stage 2 and there are 2 other stage 2s in play for your opponent. Otherwise, it will only count as 1. The thing is, this is actually a really good attack. So let's take something like a Buzzwole. If your opponent has 1 energy attached, you do 100, doubled with weakness, you get a KO. Even if they've got no energy attached, you can still use a choice band here to get a 1-hit KO. The thing is, the energy cost here is absolutely horrific. Now, the good news is we're getting Malamar. Malamar allows you to attach a basic psychic from your discard to your bench Pokemon once per turn per Malamar. What that means is that you're actually going to be able to build this Lunala up very, very quickly. The thing is, do you really want to? Do you really want to be using a stage 2 with a stage 1 when you could use a basic Pokemon like Ultra Necrozma? I'm not terribly sure you're really going to want to. And that's really the big problem here. There are other Pokemon we'd rather play with Malamar. And if you look at a Lunala deck, like we could look at a Solgaleo deck, we've got Lunala GX, which just isn't as good as Solgaleo GX. And we've got the Lunala from Guardians Rising, which isn't as good as the Solgaleo from Guardians Rising. The thing is, I could see people making a Solgaleo deck, by which I mean when the new Solgaleo GX comes out, it's stunning and a lot of people will. So that means that the new Solgaleo could fit into that deck quite nicely as a little tech. But I don't think a Lunala deck is on the horizon. I could see a Solgaleo deck that techs in Lunala, but I don't think a Lunala deck itself is on the horizon. And that means that I don't think people are going to be playing this Lunala as a single card tech. And that means that I don't see it seeing much play, so I'm giving it between 2 and 3 Wassies. I don't think it's a terrible card. I like the ability and I like the attack. But it's a stage 2 Pokemon that has an awkward attack cost and doesn't automatically and easily fit into existing decks that we already have, which means I can't really recommend it very highly, which means I'm giving it a fairly low score. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this Lunala and this Solgaleo. I've put 2 cards into one video, so I'd like double the amount of comments. I don't think that's unfair. So please go nuts, but remember the rule, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. Please go and subscribe to my other channel, Wassie Plays. We're going to be starting Dragon Ball Super TCG content very soon, and there's going to be other games like Sea of Thieves being featured. It's a lot of fun. Go and check it out. I would be delighted. If you want to support the channel, if you want some extra podcasts, that's what Patreon is for. Patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.